Now, at that point, you were saying to me that Sarah had intimated in a text that she was whipped into not saying anything. So when that point come up, you're expecting Sarah to come out and say something, and like you say, because the way they overplayed it with this goat, you're expecting every counsellor and his dog to think, friggin' hell, if you're going to like really go overboard on the goat, then when Cyril Smith comes, you're all going to have something to say here, because it's the most disgusting thing that's happened in Rochdale, you could argue. Never mind a pissing goat. So when it comes to that, there was only a couple of people who spoke. Alan Brett was one of them. Can you remember the other one?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, can you remember what Alan Brett said?
Mr. Mayor, before we deal with this item, I'd like just to say a few words. I'm sure there's not a person in this chamber who does not support this move to remove Cyril Smith's freedom of the borough. It is a shame that we can't just strip him of this honour without going through this technicality.
Hear, hear.
Contrary to recent reports you may have seen, we've listened very hard to what victims of abuse say. As the report before you makes clear, we are doing this tonight after meeting and listening to the survivors of abuse. Furthermore, I can tell you that this council has for a number of years run a bespoke service to survivors. I will end by reading out what an independent government inspector said about the service earlier this year. Rochdale's complex safeguarding service provides a strong multi-agency response for children and adult survivors of sexual exploitation. This service, developed with Queen partners to ensure an improved response to children at risk of exploitation in the borough, now delivers a range of work to identify, disrupt and prosecute offenders to protect children. Later this evening, you will see from Councillor Kieran Egan's report, our current member for Children's Service, how almost all members, and it's sad that some haven't been, have attended the new safeguarding briefings. Mr. Mayor, thank you, and can we formally do this procedural matter?
Thank you.
It wasn't very memorable what he was saying, to be honest with you. It was more, I was more concentrating on watching her face, watching Sarah's face, because we met with Sarah. There's a phone call with her, which we've got, which we can play, and we met with her outside, and she was pretty G'd up outside when I met her. When she come over and said hi to everybody and stuff, she was pretty G'd up. Yeah,
because I remember Billy, I think it was, you said come over and meet Sarah.
Yeah.
At that point, she didn't look distressed, she didn't look like things were getting to her. It's almost like there was no change in personality.
She didn't look whipped.
No, she didn't look whipped, so you could argue if something happened, it maybe happened the moment she got in there and sat within all them people. Now, so we're getting back to Alan Brett. Alan Brett spoke about the survivors and having consultated with the survivors. Now, I'll never forget, at this point, I hear the words rubbish. Now, that comes from Linda Phillips. Why do you think Linda Phillips said rubbish, Benny?
Linda Phillips said rubbish because they said that they'd been providing support for survivors.
And do you reckon you'd got that at any point?
There's absolutely no evidence.
Yeah, there's no way that they consulted the survivors. They did consult with one survivor because Sarah told me one guy had come forward and said he wasn't interested in compensation whatsoever. What he wanted is Smith's stripping of his freedom of the borough. So she said that the council loved it. They absolutely love that, because she said she previously been saying, you know, there needs to be accountability. These people need compensated for what they've been through. Then you've got a guy who's popped up, a survivor from No View, who said to him, listen, I don't want any money. Do you know what I mean? I just want him stripping. So she said immediately they've latched onto that. Do you know what I mean? And thought, right, what we'll do is we'll strip him, and that's all the No View and Cyril Smith out of the way. Forget the DECEIT report.
And we'll label that as consultation.
So in their way, they've adhered to survivors by doing that one act, but they've still not consultated with anyone. But they feel they're acting on behalf of survivors, so survivors are going to love us because we've just done this.
They've
not consulted with any of you. You've been led to believe that you're going to...
At this point, they called us liars,
Yep.
vigilantes, paedophile hunters, troublemakers. They just slated us, that was the consultation, and silenced us and told us that we can't speak at this meeting after she near enough promised that she said she'd put the mayor in a position where he couldn't say no.
When you then kind of rewind to where we was positioned in the public gallery, you think, are you taking the piss?
Yeah.
Because even from my perspective, you've done absolutely nothing
Yeah.
to listen to survivors. Maybe through Sarah, you're kind of making out as if you're going to give a friendly hand.
Yeah.
But even at that point, Sarah, now, one thing I did notice is that when Alan Brett was stood there talking, did you happen to watch what Sarah was doing at that time in the stream?
Yeah, so she was looking up at the gallery, like sort of sheepishly looking up, and she had a finger on her lips, like that, which you can see in the video. So that was either a message to us to shut up and be silent, don't say anything, or it was a message to us saying, I've been silenced, because she's like that, like with a finger over her lip, rubbing her lip. Now, you know, after I got home that evening, a text come through said, I've just finished the meeting, I was whipped into silence, I wasn't allowed to speak.
Looking at that, looking at her gestures, looking at what she'd been saying before.
She was furious. Said sorry she'd let us down, she felt really bad. She couldn't pluck up the courage to speak out. And she was like ashamed of herself, you know what I mean? So she's still in my good books at this point, to be quite honest with you, and still on side because she's as disgusted as we were with what had happened.
That almost just spells of there's only so much you can do. Like you've just painted the picture as well, that she'd already mentioned to you at this point that she feels that somewhat intimidated with the people that are above her for various reasons. I'm not going to put any allegations out, but
there's a telephone conversation where he calls him a bully and says he's a bully.
Alan Brett. Right, okay. But that then goes back to the inquiry that Alan Brett was on. Yeah. When you listen to that audio, when he basically blackmails a ward. If you don't give me the votes, you ain't getting no money. But of course, if anyone asks me that, I'll always deny it.
I will.
But you can't deny it because you've just been caught on audio. And then you go into a paper saying, I will clear my name. Well, how can you clear your name when you're guilty as sin and you've been caught with your hand in the cookie jar?
I'll deny I've said this, and I'm very reluctant to say it even in this room.
What are you going to say? How can you get away from that? So that paints a picture that how deceitful.
Rochdale Council are.
Well, particularly him, the way he's handling this. So to people that won't have listened to that audio, they will generally think, oh, well, he's a good guy trying to get himself a clean name again. But you can't. When you've listened to the audio, you're probably better just holding your hands up to having your hands in the cookie jar at that point, because you lose even more credibility trying to say that you're going to clear your name. You can't clear your name because it's as dirty as mud, because you've just been caught blackmailing a whole ward. Now, you could go even further and you could look into the actual ward in question, how many people, the demographics of this people, and basically how much funds they have in terms of what they get and what they don't get. I don't want to go that far, but you could. I mean, I'm sure this inquiry touched into this as well. But this proves the corruption. This proves as well the struggle that Sarah would have had. So when you look at it from that context, can you appreciate the shit Sarah would have been getting?
Of course, yeah.
From him and other
She'd be
people.
like, he'd be like, why have you let these people in the door? Do you know what I mean? Why have you brought someone in why have you invited someone in who wants to hold us accountable?
Yes.
And potentially get us to lose our jobs? Now, going back to what you were saying about Brett and his blackmailing, potentially blackmailing of wards, if you kind of sort of go back to the beginning of the meeting where Councillor Groomer had voted twice, they all voted, it was put forward, should he be suspended, should he lose his position, they voted that there should be no consequences to his behaviour. It committed, it's like electoral fraud, isn't it?
Councillor Rana cooperated fully with the police investigation, as did the council. And was quite right to made a full admission of his error and apologised. He accepted his punishment and should be allowed to continue his good work for his community. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Then the later,
He's actually under police caution, then, sir.
yeah, he got a police caution, yeah. So if you look back at when I spoke to Sarah about this, he's from Alan Brett's ward, and what she said is under no like sort of circumstances would she want him removed, because what he does is he gets to the Asian vote and he doesn't want to lose the Asian vote. So that's why he got away with it.
Political games, isn't it? Certainly, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure that goes on up and down councils everywhere, so I'm not
Yeah.
just holding Rochdale to account.